Hi, I'm Bart Miller. I'm the run game coordinator and offensive line coach at the University of Wyoming. And I want to talk a little bit today about some of our individual drill work, our off-season fundamentals, our development training regimens for our offensive linemen here at the University of Wyoming. So we'll get right into it. The number one thing that we talk about here is what we're training for, why we do the things we do, and our goal is to be the most physical offensive line in the country, and working every day to be the best version that you can be, best that you're able to become, and we're going to be the best O-line unit in the country, and to do that, that is not just a cliche. That's not just a something to say in recruiting or slogans on T-shirts or whatever it is. We are truly holding each other to a standard of excellence, and it's not. We don't like to use the word culture. I think that gets overused in our room and in our society, in our really in our profession. It's an ethos. It's a belief. Cultures can be infiltrated and changed and things of that nature. I mean, this is ingrained in us. That mentality of being the meanest, toughest, nastiest dude on the field. So it's an ethos. It's a work ethic held by each member of the unit. And it really is what sets us apart, right? It gives us a competitive advantage against other teams because ultimately, guys, that's where winners are. Deep down, where no one else is willing to go. And it sounds so simple, but how many people live in average? How many people don't have the ability or the mental toughness to go that far? So we take a tremendous amount of pride in our work. Our preparation is vital to the success that we have, not only from a physical standpoint, but obviously the learning aspect of it too. The way we teach, our teaching sequences, the things we place into families so that there's learned behaviors, and it's easy for guys to continue on when you have this system in place. Even the week of preparation, I mean, we'll spend hours as a staff preparing so our guys have great 2-hour practices, and our guys will take it upon themselves. We give them film sheets or not tests, but they're really film worksheets to watch film. So they're not just watching film like a movie. They're looking for things. And then we'll spend a tremendous amount of time in blitz pickup and our pressure analyzing their pressures and things of that nature. And then by the time the week is over, they've gotten 200 and plus reps, walk-through reps, run-through reps of each team's pressure. So we know what's going to happen before things even really set forth. So the preparation and the work, we take a tremendous amount of pride in that. We embrace the hardship. I mean, we live in a tough state. We're with tough people, and we really embrace that. We recruit tough kids, and we take pride in doing things that the other position groups won't do. I mean, it's okay if you're out there doing extra work, the D-line's not, or the DBs aren't, or whatever. We don't really care about that. And it's the stuff that other men won't do or can't do that keeps you up there. So, like I said, that's not a cliche. I know it sounds like something like that, but when your group is truly believed in that and truly bought into that, and it's ingrained in who we are, you're going to have a tremendous amount of success. Okay, so you can see some of the notes there. And that's the standard. That's the expectation. And it's more than just one guy. It's more than me. It's more than our starting center. It's more than anybody that is on that line. It's ingrained in all of us. So you're a part of something that's greater than yourself. You're going to play a heck of a lot better. We do have a code, that we live by, and we've really simplified that. That's the other thing too. We don't have 1,000 different things. We've really simplified stuff into really 3 components: being fundamentally sound, obviously being technicians, operating very soundly with what we do, very good fundamental football, being great at the little things. We're not jack of all trades. We're masters of 3, and so we really focus on those things. Physically dominant. Obviously, we want to control the line of scrimmage. We want to dominate our opponent, own the line of scrimmage, change the line of scrimmage, and then being mentally tough. Mentally tough is not just being able to take a hard practice, right? Mentally tough is being able to put the video game down when you've got stuff to do, right? When you've got homework to do, not procrastinating. Being mentally tough is can I still execute? Can I think? Can I function on 3rd and 2 at the end of the game when I'm dog tired? Can I do the things I'm supposed to do when it would be very easy not to? And so all those things accompany that into the code as well. So those are all things in the status quotes that we live by that help set up the way we prepare our guys throughout the year. There's a saying in our room, and we've got some motivational stuff and some propaganda stuff on the walls, but there's a very much a motto that we kind of live by, and this quote here that you see on your screen is one that is often used in some military settings. But remember that one man is much the same as another, and he is best who's trained in the severest school. And this goes back 3,000 years to the Peloponnesian Wars, and they're talking about Sparta, and why Division I football, high school football, it doesn't matter. You're going to be the same as everybody else unless you were trained in the severest way. And so certainly a point of emphasis in the way we do things. So we train our linemen in the off season, in our weight room, in our conditioning, like linemen. They're not DBs. They're not going to be doing the same thing that defensive backs or receivers or even quarterbacks are going to be doing. So we train to move people. So our physical development plan begins right after the end of the season with our strength training. We'll work in different cycles, and we work very closely with our strength staff, and of course they're devoted to that. We do have an individual strength coach just for the O-line, and I think that's important. It's one of our secrets of our success. When I was at Wisconsin and brought it with me everywhere else I've been, Minnesota, Ohio, here, that the O-line needs to train like O-linemen. They need to train to move people. And so we're heavy into the platforms, tremendous amount of Olympic lifts, explosive movements. We're not only doing for strength, but with power. We will have a very high amount of volume, but it might be, instead of 3 sets of 10 or 4 sets of 10 or 8 or whatever it is, we might go 6 sets of 2. And so you are every rep, you're getting a tremendous amount of force, a tremendous amount of strength for 1 or 2 specific reps, because that's the way we play. We're not a tempo team. We take 38 seconds to run the football or to run a play, and then we run and do it again. And so we don't train for muscular endurance. We train for strength and power and explosiveness. So I really don't care how many times you can bench 225. I care how many times you can move the bar with a heavy weight 1 time or 2 times. And so those are things we're really looking for. So our off season is divided into 2 specific training phases, and each with their own different week-long cycles, 8 weeks long, 6 weeks, whatever it is. And so our spring season, which this year was a little bit adjusted, certainly. We had our winter lifting, and then that fed right into spring ball. And then after spring football, usually was what we would do is a final spring lift or final cycle before they would go home for a little bit. And then we'd start back up in the summer. You'd have your first 8 weeks and then your final summer lifting cycle until you go into camp. And then the other thing that we would do, and I know this is a source of maybe not controversy, but certainly adds some discussion to the table, is we do not believe in maintaining. Well, maintaining is a dirty word. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And so our guys will continue to cycle and lift through the season. And I know a lot of times, I remember back when I was in high school, even in college, it was you'd go in and just get through your lift. Our guys are continually training through the season and hitting PRs in November. So when everybody else or vast majority of the country is still just kind of going through their recovery stuff and whatever it is during the year, we have guys at their strongest in November. So when everybody else is getting tired and beat up and things like that, we had guys hitting PRs at the end of the season. So that's a tremendous advantage for us, and certainly into that mentality. And all of our significant gains in strength, in conditioning, in our power, and the way how fast we move the bar, all that kind of stuff, that all happens during this time. And then we continue to train year round. So certainly a mindset that goes into that aspect, and it's vital. I don't think you can expect to expect to play physically, expect to be strong, and not live in that world every day. And it's the way we'll talk about our practice schedules too later on, but we practice that way as well. And so we are running inside drill every day. We're crossing over with the defense and doing pods and 4-on-2 and half line and those things, good on goods. We're hitting 3 or 4 days a week in practice. So on Thursdays, when everybody else is having their no sweat Thursdays or their walkthroughs and light practices and things, we're teeing it up and getting after it in an inside drill again. And so that's what we do on Saturday. That's what we're going to train for. And we don't worry about overuse. We don't really concern ourselves too much with beating them down, because we're preparing their body for the rigors of the game. And what happens is teams come in to our place and they don't live in that world every day. So they'll hold up with us for the first quarter or first 2 quarters, and then you'll start to see us pull away because we're prepared our bodies that much better. And so, and mentally, it's draining just getting pounded on over and over and over and over on those Saturdays. So certainly a big part of that. We train together. There must be cohesiveness with our O-line, and we had different class schedules, and there'll be times where, there's only 4 or 5 guys in the weight room, and that's okay. But you're with the same 4 or 5 guys you're going to be with on that line, and so we train together. We develop the same physical skills. Right? There's competition, which I think just continues to make people better, and it pushes you to be the best that you're capable of becoming. Right? And so by doing this, right, we always ensure that there's building cohesiveness. We're properly preparing. We're developing our bodies. There's an accountability there, and then certainly that would play onto the field as well. Don't have a lot of rules in our room, and one of the biggest ones we have is take pride in everything you're doing. And so during the workday, we will supplement our working sessions or our workouts, lifting workouts, conditioning workouts, with position-specific drill work. Now, when coaches are allowed to be there, we do that, and the coaches will run it. But when, like, times of the year during the off season, when we're not allowed to be with them, we have designated certain drills based on the lifting regimen of that day. Okay, with working with our strength coaches and things like that. And so we'll list these things out, and they're all technically voluntary, but most of our guys do those things anyway. And what the leaders of the unit will do is take the guys through certain drill work, position-specific drill work. So heavy lower body days, days where we're in the squat racks, we're having big clean days, deadlift days. When your legs are fatigued, that's when most of our pass pro drill work and the pass pro emphasis will take place. And the reason behind that is when we're in a situation where we are pass setting, where we are doing 2-minute, where we are in those very high pressure passing situations, that's going to be late in the game, late in the half, when we're most fatigued. And so that's when we're going to be in those situations. So we need to be able to train that way. And in upper body days, when our legs are a little fresher and not as fatigued, that's when we'll be doing all of our run block progression, the run game drill work, and et cetera. And the reason behind that being, we want our guys to feel fresh and powerful with the run game. We want them to feel the transition of power from the floor through their hip into the block. Okay, we want guys to be able to explode off the ball and be fast with their feet, fast with their steps, getting them in the ground, and have that measure of power. So they're continually training at that high level in the run game, which is what we do. It's what we specialize in. So that is a huge piece of the development for us. And that's what separates us on our team from other position groups. So we'll go through a conditioning session, we'll go through a lifting session, and then most guys are done. Okay, great, go home and go stop at the training table or whatever it is. The O-line will go back out and they'll spend another 25, 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. It just needs to be very, very concise, very fast-paced, very sharp. And so they'll go out and continue to do more drill work, and nobody else will be with them. And that's part of the whole process of taking pride in what we do, embracing that hardship, embracing that you are the hardest working position group on this team. And again, that's all stuff that sounds like it's coach speak, but but the results are you just turn on the film and you can see that, and not just at places like Wisconsin or Wyoming, but we did it at Minnesota, we did it at Ohio, we did it at FAU, some other places where I've been, and certainly has success. The other thing it does is it continues to build principles in your guys that you want, not only in your captains and your leaders of your team, but that you would want in a teammate or a potential colleague or a young man or young citizen of the country, right? I mean, it breeds accountability. It develops leadership within the unit, right? There's a discipline to it where, you're critiquing your peer, okay? You're coaching your guys. You're also having the ability to take that coaching, right? There's pride in doing things harder than anybody else is, that nobody else is willing to do, okay? And there's trust that's built through all of that, right? I can count on me. And when you put your hand on the ground, you know you're going to win. When you get in that stance, you put your hand in the dirt, you look across from you, you know you're going to win because that guy across from you has not lived in your world. And you know the guy next to you has been through what you've been through. You trust him. He's accountable to you. It also builds trust in player to coach and coach to player. Those guys need to know that number one, you want the best for them and that you do care about them, but also that you're going to push them to be their very best. And sometimes that is not easy, but that continually builds trust. They know where you stand, and vice versa. And then also you're continuing to master your craft, right? I mean, most of our guys love to play the game. They want to get better at the game. Many of them have a tremendous amount of God-given ability, and they're working to better that. So certainly a big supplemental piece to all of our off-season conditioning, off-season lifting. And this is an example of what one of these days would look like. So day one of position work, okay? So following their lifting session, okay, there's going to be a list here of our drill work, and we'll go through each one of these here in the next couple slides, but these are designed to improve their steps, improve their technique, the run block progression that they'll go through. It's all encouraged to improve that performance. And then obviously the competition piece of it too. We'll do some drills at the end. So we'll do this in bags. We can do this when we're padded up. We can do this against each other in shorts and t-shirts. So defenders, guys that are on defense, servicing guys, need to give strong resistance, make them work. There needs to be a definitive start and a definitive finish. Okay, and again, that just increases the discipline, especially when these guys are doing this on their own. But it should be done with full speed, maximum efficiency, explosiveness, physicality, sound technique. It is not our job, okay, to keep a guy up or any of that kind of stuff. The defense has to be able to get out there and provide resistance, but also not get blown back and those type of things. Our job is to dominate, and you need to continue to put that mindset into your opponents or into your players. So the first thing we do on this day one specifics, you can see a copy of the drill work that they would have. It'd be laminated, okay, with all that stuff we kind of outlined. There's the Runbock Progression, and we'll go through these here in a minute. We'll be done with hand shields, and we quite literally do this every day at practice in the season, and then when they're doing their day one position work through the off season. So really isolating every part of an initial block, right? Coming out and just taking 2 steps out of your stance and punching. That's it. And then taking the fit and drive is a pretty common one. We've already taken our first and second steps and engaged the defender. And then you'll see the roll and the snap of the hip, the power transfer through the offset right and left. We'll just put it all together, and you're offsetting off of the defender. Base reach, cutoff. So if you're running backside, if you're running on the play side of a perimeter play, we'll get reached, and the backside will get cut off, those type of things. Redirects, and then running combinations. So we have our combinations built in on inside zone and gap schemes. But if the defense moves post snap, we can change those. We call those running combinations. And then we work certainly those combinations. And then competition. Let them compete. Let them compete. There's a winner and a loser, just like in life. Winners make the rules and losers live by them. And so There needs to be competitive nature and all this kind of stuff. Otherwise, it just gets mundane. It just gets boring. They're going through the kind of going through the drill, so to speak, as opposed to attacking it. And so we have competitions with them daily. Okay, even simple things, pro agility races. You know, there's a traffic cone with a tennis ball on it. Same thing with your poles, open or square poles based on how we run our gap schemes. Same thing. You know, winner the tennis ball gets it. Grip strength, farmer's walks, and plate raises and things of that nature, tire flips, all those things. Anything like that where there can be a race, there can be a competition, there can be some fun involved, and then the loser has to do 10, 20, whatever, how many push-ups. And so we'll do that in the off season too. We have sand volleyball with them and pickleball and paintball and all those kind of things. Losing team always has to do something, and winner team usually gets something. So, and then continue to work on your auxiliary movements. Your core work is huge, especially for the big guys. Flexibility, stretching, those type of things, speed ladders, agilities, all that stuff. You can get through this in 20 minutes. Okay, so some examples. Okay, so the run block progression, and you're quite literally just starting in your stance. And you're going to come off and take 1, 2, get first and second steps in the ground. We are a play side foot team, which means we will always step with our play side foot first. Okay, and all your power comes from getting your second step in the ground before contact. So he's going to get his first and second in the ground and deliver a strike, and that's it. 1, 2 punch. That's the first drill. Okay, so tackles and guards, it's the same thing. 1, 2 punch. Okay, and then fit and drive. Fit and drive, you can again use on the hand shield. You can use in the cage. This is a clip from spring practice a couple of years ago, or 2 years ago, or whatever it is. And you can see they've already come off. They've already engaged the defenders, okay, and really are waiting to snap their hips, roll their hips through the block. So you're just isolating different segments, okay, of the initial block. And you'll see there's a command, and then there's a transfer of power. You can see the hip roll, transfer of power through the hip into the block, and driving through the board. Okay, here's an example, another school doing the same thing. You can see that transition of power right there through those hips, okay? And that's what we're looking for, like a power clean. So now putting it all together. So now you're coming off 1, 2 in the ground. There's your strike, and then the roll of the hip. And we call this offset right and left. So you can offset to the right of the defender, offset to the left of the defender. Okay, here we've got a center and a right guard. So he's simulating blocking a 3 technique and a shade and coming off in the cage. And you can see we got to get that second step in the ground. We're just a hair slow at that guard spot. Okay, but there is power through the hip driving that block. Same thing going the other way. The film's a little choppy. I apologize. But offset to the right and left. We do these every day, and it's because, like we talk about our code, we're going to be fundamentally sound. We're going to be great at what we do. There's other ways to do things, other ways to coach it, and all that's fine. This works for us. It's worked everywhere I've been, and we continue to do that, and we're going to get great at those things. Okay, so now after the offset, now you're going to either reach it or cut it off. And so if we start on one end of the cage, you don't have to do it in the cage. You can do it outside, especially if you don't have helmets or pads on. But we'll do it in the cage, and we'll start on the right side or left side. Here in this particular case, left-sided players, left guards, left tackles would be working a cutoff, and right guards, right tackles would be working reaches. Centers would be working reaches. So then after we did it here, we'd flip to the other side of the cage, and then you have all that excess room that you can get it. Okay, so when we're getting our reach blocks, our aiming point on reaches is to put the screws of our helmet in the play side armpit. Okay, and so our feet, we don't have a set version of a first step. We have a lateral lead step. We have a deep replacement step on the backside for a cutoff. Okay, but if you're going to try to get something reached, some of it's based upon the alignment of the defender and how much that step can be. So it does adjust. But you're going to see he takes a pretty flat first step. He might lose a little bit of ground if the guy's wide. Otherwise, he might gain a little bit of ground if we're a little bit tighter to us. Okay, and you can see him straining to get his screws of the helmet to the play side armpit, and then you're going to see it get vertical. And that's a huge piece, a coaching point of what we do. Once you get to that aiming point, you are pressing vertical. We never make it to the other side of the cage. So you see that cage, we don't even make it over there. right? Because we get it cut off and then it gets vertical, or we get it reached and then it gets vertical. And that's a huge piece of a coaching point of what we teach here. We don't want things getting laterally at all. We want things getting cut off and vertical. You can see the transition vertically there once that second step is in the ground. Okay, so here's just a center getting a base reach on the nose, right? He does lose a little bit of ground with the slant and nose technique. And then that second step, you can see, gains a little bit of ground. And we say that second step crosses over the midline of the defender. So it's not the midline of the blocker, the offensive player. It's the midline of the defender gaining ground up the field. Again, we don't want that step to go laterally. We don't want it to turn into a shuffle. Those are things we're not looking for. We're looking to get those cleats in the ground, gaining ground, okay, and then drive vertical pounding, okay, getting movement off the line of scrimmage. Okay, here's an example outside the cage on a cutoff. So this is a right-handed player. Okay, now we're working base cutoffs, and you can see his first step. He's going to lose ground to gain width on the defender. We call that a deep replacement step. So he has lost ground to gain width on that defender. Okay, his second step, okay, we talk about that crossover. And it's not crossing your feet. It's not getting your feet tangled up or anything like that. You're gaining ground with that second step, trying to cross over the midline of that defender. Okay, and then get vertical as you're driving up the field. Here's another example of a cutoff. You can see the first step, there's a deep replace. He's gaining, losing ground to gain width. Okay, and then that second step, you see how he comes up the field into the yellow, okay, and crosses the midline of the defender. He does not have the aiming point right there. He does not have our aiming point on a backside cutoff would be the back plate to the play side number. He does not have it, but he's fighting and pressing. We've already gained a yard or two on our second step, and now we're pressing that thing vertical. You can see him straining and fighting to get there. Again, we're not even out of the realm of the cage yet. Okay, so huge emphasis on straining, fighting to your aiming point, your steps to help you get there, and then get vertical, of course, on those steps. Okay, so redirects. So if you're on the front side, let's say we look at a guard and tackle and there's a 3 and a 5 or a potential pirate, you get a hot call from the outside, whatever it is, you're anticipating movement. We will work a redirection step, which really is that second step, getting more vertical, so that we kind of anticipate and intercept a pirated D lineman, a slanting D lineman, whatever it is, and again, training vertical. So all part of our initial run block progression. Okay, and you can see the same thing here. This is called 2 for 1, which would be the second version. And all we're doing here is isolating part of a combination block. You're the lead man in a combination, working through the down defender up to the second level defender, linebacker level. Okay, so those are 2 for 1. So that's your run block progression. And again, those drills would work really in sequence, and they could get done within anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, as those translate to the field. Okay, so some of those things we were just talking about, how they translate to the field, those are the stuff we do every day. So when you're looking at this, okay, at the center spot, we don't quite get to our base aiming point, but there's the second step in the ground. And you can see that transfer of power, and it turns into an individual drive, right? And we're getting vertical, okay? Here's a guard working that 2 for 1 on the backside, chips. He has to come off on his second level defender. He engages, and then it doesn't just fade laterally, it goes vertical. You can see that vertical climb right there, and now we're one-on-one. There's a hole, big old hole in college football right there, one-on-one on the safety, which is what we want. Finishing everything. Same thing, working different process here, same drill work we just talked about, the run block progression. You can see the cutoff on the backside, okay, by the left guard right here. Deep replace, so he loses a little bit of ground to gain some width, okay? He gets to his aiming point, almost overreaches it, overcuts it off, okay? Now he presses vertical. You see the press vertical. It doesn't get shown laterally. It doesn't get here to close off the hole, right? We get vertical, and then you create a two-way go for the back. Okay, again, guys, finishing blocks. It's your competitive advantage, okay? All the way down the field, coming in, moving the pile, coming in, teeing off on guys. When you turn on the film, your opponents should be fearful because of how hard, how physical you play, and how dominant you can be at the line of scrimmage. And again, our guys have preached that. They know that. They take pride in that. It's not a plain dirty situation. It's not abusing the game and dishonoring the game and things like that. It is dominating your opponent. It is being the meanest, toughest, nastiest dude on the field within the rules of the game and not apologizing for that. We are in a world now of increased softness and a lack of masculinity and a lack of toughness across our world. And this is one of the last bastions of that. And we take a great pride in that. Okay, so here's another example of kind of the redirection. Okay, you look at our guard play, and you look at the cutoff on the backside by the tackle. Okay, getting that thing and then pressed vertical and then going for the finish. And there's the hold up to the second level. Again, just some different examples of how these drills translate, okay, to a game situation. So here's a cutoff on the backside by the backside tackle, the left tackle right here. Good deep replace. He's got a long way to go. He does get some chip help by his guard, okay, and he does get to back plate, play side number. Okay, now he's got to try to get it vertical. We get a little shuffle here. We want to avoid that, but we do keep that thing cut off. Now we pulled this. If you handed this, you'd have a play as well. Okay, but there's a pretty good example of that. And again, coming off, transition vertical on your drive. Okay, again, same thing that we talked about, just coming off the football and being able to get our second steps in the ground, being able to drive guys out, okay? And every once in a while, you're going to get into a situation where you're beat. Like, technically, this is a very poor fit. Very poor fit. But again, that guy doesn't live in the same world we live in. He hasn't spent he's done what he's supposed to do. Okay, he's done what he's supposed to do. He's lifted, he's trained, all that other kind of stuff. But what sets him apart in our ethos that we believe in sets us apart. So even though we're not in a good position right here, we still end up throwing him out of the bar and create a crease so we can walk in untouched. Okay, so day 2 position work. So now we've been in the squat racks, we've been in the power clean racks on the platforms. Okay, we've deadlifted, we've probably gone out and run, and so following heavy lower body lifting days, heavy conditioning days, heavy agility days where there's pounding, there's fatigue. Our focus is on quick, explosive movements, power, transitioning on our sets, things of that nature. Okay, violent punches, and obviously good footwork through that. Okay, it does not have to be long; it just needs to be sharp and efficient. Again, and these are drills we'll do at the beginning of practice in a quick circuit, almost as a warm-up. We'll also do them during the end of practice during special teams, again, where our legs are fatigued. So these are the same drills we would end up doing in a practice situation. So we're not just inventing drills for the sake of inventing drills. So set the line, bag punch and move, all these things as you go down the line. They will all be things that are very common, very quick. We can get through them and still be able to get the things done we need to get done. Okay, so setting the line, you can do this a number of different ways. You can quite literally pick a line on the field. We could use speed ladders, which we normally do, and you can do these in any park. You can do this on any football field, most of the time a tennis court, anything like that. So you're quite literally just setting the line, finding your landmark, getting on an angled set, and then getting vertical on your line. Here's an example of what we, pre-practice kind of warm-ups, just setting the ladder, keeping that base. Okay, so some examples there. Okay, so bag punch. Now you're going to set on your defender, and you're going to strike. Okay, and you're going to strike, and you're going to set. Strike, set, strike, set. So you're just punching that bag, just working really on the coordination of the punch. Okay, not dropping your hands. Okay, you can see his 45-degree angle right there, arm, and his hands are guarding his chest like a boxer would guard his face. Okay, like a boxer guards your face, your hands are guarding your chest. There is no cock to it. We do not want to expose the chest and open the chest, and you don't have time to do that. The 45-degree angle is a very powerful position, right? Not a tremendous amount of forward lean. Your shoulders do want to be back, okay, your head out on your punch, okay, but that's a pretty good body position to be in getting ready to strike. So that's bag punch. And again, you can work these right one after another. Bag punch and move now. You're going to set on that defender, deliver the strike. Okay, now that defender is going to move and just work side to side to side. So now you're going to set punch. You got to now react, power set inside, okay, kick back off of it, etc. So bag punch and move. Adding a moving element to it. Okay, after bag punch and move, we go to side. And this one's very simple. Two defenders, a couple yards apart, find a static landmark down here, and those guys literally walk to it. Okay, we'll always set with an inside move first, so we'll power set first, and then explode off of it. Okay, power set, explode off of it, power set, explode off of it. So you're just working side to side. Okay, and the big coaching point there is you can see this tackle gets all the way over, so he punches straight ahead. We're not reaching for the punch. Okay, leaning on it. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Trying to fight to stay square. Keep those toes pointed forward. That will keep your hips closed, which keeps your shoulders closed. Okay, so that's side to side. Okay, so now we're going to isolate a game. This is a tackle. Okay, can be used as a tackle, a guard, whatever. Here's his guard. He is setting, this tackle is setting on the defensive end. Okay, he's setting on the defensive end. He has the looper. Okay, the looper always takes you to the penetrator. Okay, so now he's simulating half of this game or this twist, pass off. So he sets, he has the looper, now he has to come back in, okay, and flatten and deny penetration on that penetrator, okay, who's being flattened out by the guard. Okay, so we call this post and stab. So set, okay, on the go, right? He comes back in and takes over that penetrator. Post and stab. And again, we're doing this in before practice in a circuit sequence. You can add some moves to this. You see the center here is looking, there's the loop. All right, and you can add some moves to it. Chops, spins, whatever you want, so that we're continually working down the line of scrimmage, again, keeping that inside foot up on your power set. Okay? So after we've done post and stab, now we're taking the interior part or the penetrating part of the twist or the game. So now this guard has a 3 technique, okay? And he's got the penetrator, right? The tackle has the looper. The tackle is already yelling, go, 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 or switch, switch, switch. Okay, so he's coming in to overtake the penetrator, okay? And the guard's flattening out that with a punch, coming back in for the looper. Okay, so just 2 different drills to isolate the 2 different halves of a twist pickup. You can see it again here. Guards are working outside back in. Tackles, okay, tackles would work inside. So he's going to work inside, right, like a penetrator, and then back out on his looper coming around. Pretty good example there. Okay, so that is called 2-punch delay. Okay, so now down the line, very simple line drill. Again, you own this line of scrimmage. That's your line of scrimmage. Okay, so our shoulders should be back. Again, you can see the 45-degree angle. We're not cocking our hands. Our head is out of the punch, right? And give different surface area for them to hit. Chest, shoulder, back, spin it around. Keep him off your line of scrimmage. He should not be on this side line of scrimmage. He shouldn't get over there. And if he is, back him up. Okay. Another drill at the end of that drill sheet, okay, is the 3-ball rotational. You can use balls here. You can use hand shields. It does not matter. You can use bodies. It does not matter. So he's going to set whichever way this ball carrier, that the med ball carrier goes, he's going to power or set that way. He's going to hit all 3. So he's going to kind of replace that. We have a 50 protection, which is a molly, a dual set. So he's practicing his dual. This guy goes this way, so he's going to come over here and punch. He can come back and punch, and then come back, working timing. So all this is just working rotational timing, not being able to throw your head in there and that type of thing. So trying to just improve the fundamentals of a dual set. Okay, so Christmas trees. There was another one of those things listed on there. Let me get back here to this. So you can have cones here. Okay, these guys were somewhat limited in what they had available at the time, but you were literally going to set, okay, on an angle, power set, power, set, power. And then you come over here and do it this side, set, power, set, power, set, power. It looks like a Christmas tree. So that's why we call it Christmas tree. You can use it with a body or a defensive guy with you. Explode the set. You can bring it from the floor with a med ball, floor with a barbell. We're using dumbbell or weights here, okay? And so you can be able to barbell weights, plates, and things of that nature, keeping that plate up. 45s, 25s, whatever it is, okay? And I'll power set inside. I don't like the rock. We don't teach the hip rock and things like that. But that's where some of the alternative coaching and peer coaching can come in, okay? And then just purely working different types of sets, mirror drill, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're doing here with the mirror drill. We don't put your hands behind your backs, get them up ready to strike. Practice the things you're going to do, okay? Some of the drills where you're not doing anything practical doesn't help you, okay? So the mirror drill is important. We'll do that and kind of grind you out, okay? And again, this is your line of scrimmage, okay? Being able to forcefully punch, keep them off your line, good set, big chest, shoulders back, hands up ready to strike, and sitting your ass down in the hole. So when these things come up in the game, we're working now some of the same drill work that we've worked before. So right here, if you watch the tackle, okay, the left tackle, all this is post and stab. His eyes are out here, right? Here comes the penetrator, okay? There he has the looper. He comes back in and takes over the penetrator, right? Here is 2-punch delay. He flattens that out. Here comes his loop. And now we're ready to pass that game off. So the drill work correlates to the actual real world application in a game situation. So that's one of the things that I think all drills need to be. They need to be practical. No, you're not doing the monkey rolls and the bear crawls and the stuff like that we all did in Pee Wee football. That doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, it's great for mat drills and great for toughness and all that, but is it going to help you win football games? And so we do the things and we get great at the things that are going to help us win football games. Okay, so in another situation here, passing situation, okay, again, you've got, okay, the post and stab, taking it back over, okay, we've got passing off of the games right here, okay, being able to, really work on keeping extension, getting our head out, right, shoulders back, sitting that thing down, and providing the pocket. Our interior is responsible for the depth of pocket. Our tackles are responsible for the width of pocket. Okay, another passing situation. And again, working push-pull, right? That wasn't on day 2. It'll be on day 4, I think. But working push-pull drills. Here's a set. Again, passing off the game. Really good job flattening out the defender, the penetrator here by that guard. And now he's coming around to pick up the game. We were able to pass off just about every one of the games and twists that we saw from a 2-man combination. Okay, and it's because we've trained at it, we work at it, and we do those things every single day. One-on-ones, games during with the D-line during the practice of the regular season, all those things I think are critical as well. Okay, again, just working on sets, okay, working on being able, to counter, okay, with a post and stab, flatten out the penetrator, working our vertical set right here by the tackle, pretty good by him, okay, pretty good by him, getting the extension, sitting back down, providing that depth of pocket, and some good examples there. Okay, again, passing off games, okay, being able to overtake the penetrator, okay, short setting, keeping eyes out, ready to go take hits off, things of that nature. Day 3, okay, day 3 usually falls on a Wednesday for us in the off season. Let me go back to that, apologize. Day 3 usually falls in the middle of the work week, okay? And this is designed to keep a physical edge. This is designed to grind you a little bit and do some toughness, okay? Improve technique with heavy resistance. If you have access to an Austin sled, I think it's an unbelievable training tool in the off season. We use Prowler sleds here. When I was playing, our coach Bob Bolstead put railroad ties on the locker room floor, made to push those over the carpet all over. So different things to work on the explosiveness and the power transfer through your hip working on the drive, working on the finish, and that type of thing. So we would divide up into groups. So one group would go do their prowlers, okay, and the one-man sled, while the other group is working combinations, working the run game, working some protection stuff, some crossover things, okay, and then some auxiliary movements. We will always do grip strength, we'll always do core work and flexibility at the end of every workout, okay? So that would be how day 3 position work goes. So one-man sleds, you can work these with the zone or the gap concept, okay? And what this does is isolate, again, half of the combination. So this 75 is a tackle. He'd be working what we would call, okay, an eat block here, which would be a gap combination between your tackle and your tight end, okay? He is now the lead man in that. So he's going to step, again, with our play side foot first. On gap schemes, our play side foot is always the inside gap to the call side, right? On zone schemes, obviously, it's the play side foot to the call side. So he's going to, even if there's no threat, we will still step with our play side foot. So our second step, okay, is in the ground before contact or right at contact where all your power is. We are not a near foot team, okay? So we're working our steps, pretty good strike, good job getting that second step in the ground, okay? And now he is the inside man on a tray, an eat block, or the inside man on a tag block, or some people call it a deuce block. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter the position, the technique is the same. Is watching his second level defender. So now we're simulating that second level defender running through. Now he's coming off. And you can see the deliverance of a strike. We strike with the screws of our helmet and our hands. And we do not apologize for that, okay? One, you see what you're hitting. You're delivering a blow, okay? You're not putting any unnecessary force on a shoulder, okay? You have power through your not only your hips and your lower body, okay? But I can bench press a heck of a lot more, okay, from here than I can with my flippers, okay, or my shoulder, things of that nature. Through my career, I've had 0 shoulder injuries as a coach. I'm saying 0 shoulder injuries, and I've had 1 concussion. 1 concussion was a Florida thing down at FAU in the heat. So, the way we train, the way we hit, number 1, it's safe. Number 2, it's effective, and our guys are accustomed to it so that they are not putting themselves at unnecessary risk. And we hit physically all the time. You can see that example right there. Okay, so here's another one. Drive knees or guard now. Okay, working the first and second steps, getting in the ground. I'm striking, keeping that outside hand free, or inside hand free in this particular case. Here's my run through linebacker. Now I'm off. Okay, so now we've taken the defenders away, and now I'm going to give him a command or a cadence. He's going to come off the ball and strike. He is still looking at where that defender would be. Now that defender has run over the top, and he now must take over the down lineman and knock the outside guy off, which is what he's doing there. So just add another whistle to it, okay? So 2 whistle drill, and then he's overtaking it, finishing it on the drive. Go, 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 take it back over, okay? And now we're driving to the finish, okay? So that's the sled work. Obviously, prowler sleds, railroad ties, whatever it is, you obviously know you're pushing those, pulling those, doing those type of things, okay? Working combinations, okay? So we're going to work our combinations. So this would be a combination between a guard, front side guard, and a center, okay? This is a freshman center. He's actually taken too much of a drop step here. We would not want that. But again, they're working with each other, okay? This would be a front side zone combination that they're working, really emulating that same thing we just did on the one-man sled. And now I'm off, right, to the second level. The second level determines who comes off, okay? The second level determines who comes off, okay? So now working a gap combination with the center and the guard, okay? Trying to knock that guy over and then climb, okay? Combination between the guard and the tackle. On the zone combination, backside zone combination, you can see the steps. Probably get a little bit extended when there's no immediate threat here, okay? Probably shorten that first step up a little bit, but it's a good job driving that second vertical up the field, and then we're coming off on the run through. So again, isolating just like we did on the one-man sled. Okay, so day 4. Okay, now we're back to the Runbock progression. Now we're back to the run game. We're back in the bench press. We're back in the incline, dumbbell work, backs, shoulder work, that type of stuff. So now we're going to run the same run block progression that we've been doing. Okay. Towards the end of the week, we'll also implement a few crossovers with the Christmas tree, the mirror drill, stuff like that. And then some agility work, some competition work. Okay. And then what this does, guys, is this breeds that mentality that you are the baddest, the toughest, the meanest dude on the field. Okay. No one lives in your world. Okay. And looking at this, Colorado State's our biggest rival. Okay. Nothing against Colorado State, but you look at this is at the end of the year. Okay. Ball's on the 1. Okay. It's 0-0. 3rd down and 1. And we run a quarterback sneak. Okay. And just the mentality that we operated. This was a Friday night game. It was -5 degrees Fahrenheit outside at game time. It was a very cold day. Every one of their players, we're separated by a little more than 60 miles. Every one of their players is in sleeves. None of ours are. If you look at that, okay, it's a little thing, but it's a psychiatric thing, or it's a psychology thing, right? It gets in your head. Okay, watch what happens. Okay, with our interior and their nose guards that are supposed to stop that sneak. Okay, they get boosted about 4 or 5 yards out in the back of the end zone and pile driven down. The whole line ends up in the end zone. That doesn't happen by accident. Colorado State's on scholarship too. They got great players over there. They're a great storied football program. Okay? But when you live in our world, this is what you create. Okay? So now, same situations. 3rd and 1, 7-7, very close game in the 3rd quarter. Okay? We do the same thing. Okay? And our center takes their nose, puts him back 5 yards into the end zone on a quarterback sneak. That's the difference. That's what this breeds. That's the reason we do what we do. We compete with these guys in recruiting. We compete with them on the field. Just like anybody in our conference. Very few people, and it sounds so simple, what we just talked about in terms of the development, but very few people are willing to go that far. Very few coaches are willing to coach like that. It is demanding. It is hard. But your training should be that way. So the test day, Saturday, comes easy. And that is the mentality of which we train the O-line. Okay? So day 5 position work, back to our pass pro circuit, back to doing our sets, our bag punch, the same things that we do before practice in our circuit, and then obviously on days when we're legs are fatigued. Okay? Adding a few more different drills in there. So a couple of the new drills we will do, okay, is the pin pull, or the push pull, okay, where you can see we're sitting on the defender, and there's an immediate push and then a pull, right? And when we do that, we will widen our base, lower our center of gravity, tighten our core, and go with the pull. Don't resist the pull. Go with it. Lower your center of gravity, tighten your core, okay? And then when he comes back for the push, now you're going to pop underneath it, lose a little bit of ground, reestablish your leverage, okay, and set up. So push-pull would be a drill we'd add on day 5, okay? Now some med ball punch drills. So now this is just working timing of your punch, eye-hand coordination of your punch. Set, okay, you can determine how fast you want to throw that ball, or if you want to hold on to it, whatever it is, and just working on sending that ball right back to him. It's not a catch and bring it to your chest. It's a punch, meeting it halfway, or meeting it to a point where I can make contact with it and send that ball right back. It shouldn't go to the ground. It shouldn't spin like a basketball shot on a follow through or anything like that. Punch it right back to him. Okay, pretty good example there. Okay, just again, set and punch. Set, punch. Okay, ready to deliver that timing. Okay, 6 bag punch. You can have 6 guys lined up down the line. You can space them out like we do here. You can add med balls to it. You can have bodies. You can do hand shields, whatever it is. And now you're just working punch sequence, punch timing, okay? Being able to keep your head out on your punch, your shoulders back, and working some of those fundamentals on just basic punch maneuvers. Okay? You can go through the line. The guy that just went grabs the ball, and the next guy's up, right? To have the rotation that way. Okay? So that's 6 bag punch. Okay? Keep them on that line of scrimmage. Keep your shoulders back. Okay? Your chest big. Hands up, ready to strike. Okay? and head out when you get your extension. Okay, so 5 days of drill work supplemented by our lifting regimen and some of those things. Now, from an off-season standpoint, from meetings, film study, all those things, okay, we spend a great deal of time preparing mentally. And we teach our guys with teaching sequences, families of calls, things like that, where there's educational strategies built into the way we're teaching, the way we're installing, so you can have maximum retention, okay? So our approach to the film and position meetings definitely changes based on what time of year it is, or what's coming up, whether it's a game, spring ball, whatever it is, practice, walkthroughs, it doesn't matter. Obviously, you approach those things differently. But when we start spring ball, we'll spend most of our early meeting time teaching installs, teach tapes, corrections. You know, that's what we did most of April, May, and June on the Zoom calls this year, like all of you guys went through. We went through corrections from last year. We went through teach tapes moving forward. We went through early installations, okay? Over the summer, what we were doing now, what we're starting here next week with the 20-hour rule and all that kind of stuff, we'll have meetings, starting mostly with install first, and then we'll break away into certain aspects of the game, like a protection meeting you see there, okay? During the summer months when we're really not supposed to have a ton of contact with them, we do get a few hours a summer or a week. Now with the new NCAA rules, we'd order in food. You know, you invite the running backs, invite your quarterbacks, whatever it is, and you review a different protection each week for protection summaries, okay? We do protection summaries, we do playbooks, we do things of that nature, but now you're spending a week during the summer concentrating on your 50 protection, concentrating on your 60 protection, your 7-man, your play action, whatever it is. You've got a captive audience that's excited to be back together with their teammates, excited to review some of the things that you have instilled with them in the last couple of years, and it just continues to add to the retention, very much like an OTA type thing with the NFL. We will do individualized technique. They will watch themselves. They'll look at practice films. We film everything. We'll do NFL studies. We'll do individual NFL studies. Tackles, watching guys like Teron Smith and Joe Thomas and, you know, some of the greats in the game. You know, centers like Travis Frederick who just retired, or you know, the watching teams that run the ball well, like the 49ers and the Chiefs and things like that. Guys that are great in protection, like the Patriots. We'll watch some of those. We'll do a tremendous amount of blitz pickup, cut-ups, and studies, and then we'll make highlight tapes of them. You know, we'll do some fun things too. Okay, so we want to continue to improve. We want to master our craft. You know, you want to be able, okay, to have a conceptual understanding of your playbook, and grow your confidence in being able to recognize defenses and things like that. And you do that through the preparation. And I'll give you an example. So we're playing. You know, we have a young guard in here, was hurt most of the year, came back at the end of the year and filled in a reserve role for us. And we saw a thing on film against in our bowl game. These guys would really be very good at picking guys on 3-man games. Okay, so we said we recognize this type of look. We're not going to do this. We're going to make the adjustment and pop around a 3-man game. We're able to do that, pick it up, pocket stays intact, and we're able to deliver a ball and guys make great catches. So again, that doesn't happen without recognition of the pressure. That doesn't happen, okay, without film study, okay? Here's another one playing San Diego State. Coach Long was the head coach and called the defense. And you can see our base rule here, okay, with the initial ID, we were IDing out here, okay? We changed it as we become covered. You can see him change the ID. Okay, everyone's on the same page. We know what the pressure is going to be when that comes. We can see, you can watch the center, check it. He knows it's going to be a game right away. And you can see the back pick up his guy coming across right away. But that doesn't happen without the BPU, without the walkthroughs, without the protections and that type of thing, okay? Again, same deal with really what's happening from a protection standpoint. We know where our IDs are. Now we're involving our tight ends, our fullbacks, okay, in the protections. They have eyes on who they're supposed to get. If these guys don't pick that up, we got 2 guys running free. So again, that happens from summer training. You know, guys that aren't typically in our protection walkthroughs or doing the same drill work we're doing throughout the off season. Now they come into our meetings and there's preparation involved. They know what's happening. Everyone's on the same page and we're ready to move forward and pick things up. And the obviously result is a big play. Okay, here's another example. Okay, these guys are going to bring a pressure, really, and they brought this pressure particularly right here. Now this is important because if this guy was to cross our face, we would take him and the back would pick up ours. Okay, and so we have the discipline and the knowledge that the back is going to take this. Okay, and now we'll end up picking up the extra coming through. And so everything's picked up. We do have the pocket intact. Good job by the back stepping up, knowing what his role is supposed to be based on our ID calls. So how these things translate to the game, there's communication, and we're able to pick that stuff up in a game situation, right? Again, pressured, we're on the right guy, knowing who we're supposed to pick up. There's a huge pocket intact, and the quarterback's able to step up and do this, okay, make his play. So in a general kind of general overview of things, right? Our linemen, our O-line trains this way throughout each off-season phase, right? We have a spring, we have a summer, okay, to maximize our physical development, not only in strength and conditioning in the weight room, but also from a position-specific standpoint too, right? And so they're continually mastering their craft and getting better and developing those fundamental skills so that we can remain fundamentally sound, like we talked about at the beginning of the clinic. Again, the maintaining word is a bad word for us. The world is littered with average people, right? And people that are full of potential, but without any action to improve on it or to make themselves the best that they're capable of becoming. So we believe you're getting better or getting worse. And so every team works hard. We know that, right? Everybody, guys do things great and they come in, they work hard and they're great kids and yada, yada, yada. Okay, everybody does what they're supposed to do, what they're required to do. But what are we doing to set ourselves apart? What is going to give us our competitive advantage? We believe it's the way we train. We believe it's the way we practice. We believe it's the way we lift during the season. Okay, it's the preparation we take. It does require some maturity. It does require some accountability. It does require trust. And it does require people being bought in to the ethos that you've created in your program. There's a tremendous amount of pride and honor that comes with being a part of an elite O-line unit, any elite unit, right? And that's something that is continually earned. That's how we build into become a better team. That's how we build off of a bowl win, become a conference championship team. That's how you recycle guys year in and out and have that pipeline because of what they're a part of, right? They're part of something that's greater than themselves. That will increase their accountability. That will increase their desire and their drive and their vision moving forward to reach the goals that you've set forth for your unit, for your team. So it's a huge reason why, before we got here to Wyoming, they had not been nominated for any O-line award, any O-line, really anything. They had a couple of guys have some success. But it was quite truthfully one of the weaknesses of the team, and we've changed that around. We were obviously nominated for the Joe Moore last year and have continued. We've had 2 all-conference players, probably would have had a third if he didn't get hurt. We got everybody coming back. It really does speak to what these kids have bought into and what they've done and the devotion that they've shown to their craft and what we're teaching. So obviously, we take a tremendous amount of pride in it and don't apologize for what we do because it does work. And it's not for everybody, but being physical and running the football and all that kind of stuff is a rare thing. And so that's why, not everybody can do it. So it gives you a little bit of idea of kind of how we would train our O-line in the off season, how we would train our O-line from a development standpoint leading into fall camp, and then maybe throughout the year as well. So I appreciate you guys coming on and listening to this. Again, my name is Bart Miller. I'm the O-line coach at the University of Wyoming. My email is online on the website there, and I'm on Twitter too. You can find me on there, and feel free to hit me up, and I'd be happy to help you in any way I can. So answer any questions, but appreciate it, fellas. Thanks very much.